Hello Internet, and welcome to my review for Boruto, Naruto Next Generation's episodes 82 and 83. I am almost 2 weeks late with 82, and about a week late for 83. But you know what? Here we are. We're going to get it out of the way. When we last left off, Boruto was passed out after his encounter with Mitsuki, and he had some visions, and reasserted his goal to find Mitsuki, acknowledging that Mitsuki might not want that, but acknowledging that, like, Mitsuki's on some shit, and we ain't dealing with that shit. Meanwhile, Inoji made a friend, with the baby, Kuda, who eventually changes his name to Akun, by the end of this episode, episode 82, I mean. And yeah, then the gang arrives in the stone to meet up with Onoki, and what a meeting it is! But before we get to there, let's start from the beginning. Konohamaru is joining in. He asked Naruto to go on the mission to the Stone Village to work out whatever the fuck's going on over there. The Leaf Village does not know. So yeah, Konohamaru will be here eventually. I imagine he'll have something to do in the finale. But before Boruto and the gang head to the Stone Village, they're like, "Hey, Inoji, why don't you just like wait here with the baby?" And I really hope they're not just gonna sideline Inoji and the baby Akuda for the rest of the arc. They do not show up in 83, but we do see them in the preview for 84, so hopefully they'll be relevant again next week, who knows. But for now, we're stuck with life lessons with Inoji as Inoji teaches Akuda not to kill things. Which of course ties into the value of a life no matter where it comes from. That's kind of all tied up with the Akuda. But meanwhile, the Mitsuki Retrieval Squad is sneaking through Iwa. And Shikadai makes some weird points here. He says, oh, the village is peaceful and shit, and so Team Ku must not be an official part of the village. I don't quite buy that reasoning. I mean, he's right, of course, that they have nothing to do with this, with the actual, or they're not like, they're not an official part of the Stone Village whatsoever, or even sanctioned by them clandestinely. But I don't quite see the logic train there. But Shikadai's all like, yeah, we need to be stealthy. You know, if we want to find, they're headed towards Onoki, and you know, we don't want Kokyo and all them to know where we are, so let's all be stealthy. And then Chocho's stomach growls so loud, the entire town square hears it. And there goes stealth, you know, whatever. No stealth for Chocho. Or for the rest of the gang. And so the gang all runs away. At this point, they start to be followed by Akatsuchi, who is watching them all over town, being very suspicious. Even though we do find out later on, thankfully, he is on our side. There ain't any shenanigans yet. Oh boy, are there some later. We'll get to that in a little bit. Before then, we have to find Onoki. I love Shikadai. They find the old diner, who's a huge Onoki fan. And I love the way Shikadai, like, manipulates the old diner owner into telling them everything that he can about Onoki. It's really funny. It's a great moment. It shows Shikadai's strategic chops, and it's just kind of a funny moment. So all around win for that one, you know? Meanwhile, we're right about to get to Onoki, I promise. Inojin gives the baby Akuda lets the baby Akuda pick out a new name, and it picks out Akun, which is cute and all, yada yada yada, but given the implication is that Akun does not like being called Akuda because it's the name that Ku and that whole group that gave it. So it's kind of weird that he picked a name that so closely resembles Akuda, with Akun. You know, it does, like, I guess, you know, whatever, it's fine. But it's kind of a weird thing. And then we get to the crux of the episode, Onoki. Oh no! Ki. So yeah, first, so I do say, They do kind of up the like what's up with Onoki bit before they drop the oh he's behind everything reveal. At first he instantly is all willing to help Boruto, and then he's like, oh, our friend Mitsuki's gone missing, and Onoki's like, nope, not helping you there, go home. And then the Akuta like pop up in Onoki's secret hideout, and it doesn't really make any sense until you learn Onoki is behind it all. Onoki is behind everything. He is the leader of the Akuta. It takes us an episode to find out why. And furthermore, Ku is Onoki's son, which does make a fair bit of sense, given his particular fashion sense being identical to what Onoki wore during the war, instead of larger because Onoki was a midget during the war. And why Kuretsuchi recognized him back in 81, I think it was, when Kuretsuchi first got captured by Ku. She sees Ku's face and like, oh my god, it's you, and then we cut away. It's because it's her uncle. So yeah. But let's move right along to 83, because 83 is where we really get into the meat of stuff to really talk about, and that is motivations. Onoki's motivations. There's a lot to go into here. I was really kind of worried about all this, because, Onoki was such, a hero during the war, and for him to suddenly, turn villain kind of felt odd. But I do like that it is very much for the sake of peace, at least what Onoki believes peace to be. Because, his whole thing was like, this is a war for peace, we are going to get peace after the Fourth Shinobi World War. And I'm glad that is kind of how it all turns out. Or it still is Onoki's like goal is still peace. I'm very happy for that. And his motivations actually do make a fair bit of sense. Like, I don't agree with it, but he's not, he has a point, It is weird that some rogue ninja did such lasting damage to the stone, when they were allied with the rest of the great nations who could have come in to help with the rogue ninja at some point, but whatever. Especially because they have, telephones now. Kuretsuchi could have, called up Naruto, hey, send us some troops, please, and Naruto would be like, fuck yeah, I'll send you some troops, friendship! And actually, I think it would have been better if... might not have worked timeline-wise, because Onoki's been planning this for 5 years, but, Onoki makes a brief mention to, there are threats we can't handle, look at the Otsutsukis. And if the Otsutsukis were, all of Onoki's motivations, I think that might have even worked better. Rogue ninjas are rogue ninjas, but, space aliens are, what the fuck? How the fuck do we beat these guys? So yeah, I think that that could have his motivations, accepting that some rogue ninjas showed up and all the youth got kind of slaughtered by them. It works, but I wish the Otsutsukis were the foundation of it. I feel like that would just make more sense. Yeah, Though I do really like how Onoki is not evil. It would be so easy to make Onoki the villain, or not the villain, because he is the villain. But Onoki just an irredeemable monster, because this is a children's show in essence. But he's not evil. He has no intentions of hurting the Mitsuki Retrieval Squad. All of his actions he sees as beneficial to the village, specifically so that people don't die. It's hard to argue with that. He kind of reminds me in a way of Glio Haijima from Fire Brigade of Flames. Which again, you should really fucking check out. I won't go into here in case you've not read Fire Brigade, but fucking read Fire Brigade. Both of them have the kind of one life against the masses kind of deal. I feel like Onoki's plans will involve Mitsuki dying. Mitsuki dying for peace, and Boruto and the gang aren't really a fan of that. So that's why he's in conflict with their heroes, of course. So I think that's kind of going to be where Onoki's arc goes next week. Because next week is, of course, titled Onoki's Thoughts, Ku's Thoughts. So speaking of Ku, Onoki has to repeatedly tell Ku not to hurt the children. So I'm predicting Ku's gonna be a more hardline, wipe out everyone guy that Onoki really is not, and I'm expecting him to like, there'll be a point where Onoki wants him to like pull back, and Ku's gonna be like, "Fuck you, Dad," and fucks us all over. That's my theory. Um, but all this time, I've been ignoring Sekie and Mitsuki, and that's primarily because there's not too much to talk about with them. It's Sekie is a good boy, and Sekie absolutely should survive, even though he absolutely won't. Um, and we do get a reminder of the curse mark in Mitsuki. Orochimaru mentioned a few months ago that I think will activate if it's something to do with people finding out about how Mitsuki was born, or if Mitsuki tells them how he was born. So who knows how that's going to happen. But yeah, there isn't a whole lot of progression on the Mitsuki side of things. And so after all this happens, the gang scatters, running away from the Akuta. Shikadai is captured by an Akuta. Boruto saves Onoki and is now running around the village back to the rendezvous point, which I imagine is the Inojin cave, I think. So yeah. Shikadai ends up with Kurotsuchi in jail, or in the little, like, cell cage thing Ku's got going on. And we find out more about how all this started, as Kurotsuchi reveals that Onoki originally tried to get Kurotsuchi on board with the Akuta plan, but because the Stone Village having their own private army would, like, upset the balance of power, Kurotsuchi turned it all down. Also because they were, like, hyper-violent and started, like, beating the shit out of each other, and then turned on the people, and that's not a very good thing to do. And so I'm glad Onoki, like, tried to apply the Akuta, like, through legal channels first, and didn't just, like, immediately see a bunch of dead people and be like, alright, time for a whole conspiracy of clones, like Star Wars. And yeah, it's kind of where we end the episode. The Mitsuki Retrieval Squad is scattered, headed back towards the rendezvous point. Boruto has Onoki. Shikadai is captured. Konohamaru's on his way. Mitsuki is getting examined. And yeah, that's really it. So I'm actually really glad I'm covering these two episodes together, because they really form a fairly cohesive whole. Unlike, say, the Boruto Power Hour from September. These episodes are a unit, and they work together as a unit fairly well. But, it's just answering a lot of important questions, like who and why and what. All the important questions are really being answered. And now that those questions have been answered, it's also setting up for the endgame. Onoki and Ku refer several times throughout the episode to the plan being in its final stages. So I imagine this... I said, I think back in, like, October, this arc might go till the end of the year. And I'm seeing the end of the year as being where the arc ends. That's my theory. I think, we're moving into the final stages, and I think the new year is a good time to start a new arc. Maybe it'll be another filler arc. Maybe it'll be a burst of Mujina, because Mujina is like 5 chapters. It'll be super short. But yeah, the arc is really starting to wrap up. And I'm excited to see where we go from here. I don't know. I really don't... In a filler arc, you tend to know how things are going to turn up. If the status quo is disrupted in a filler arc, it's going to be returned back to normal, because that's how filler arcs work. But because Boruto has such a weird relationship with filler, what it's doing with Onoki, I don't know how that's going to turn out. I don't think Onoki's going to die. If Onoki's going to die, he would die in the manga, rather than like in the anime, and he's just dead in the manga. That'd be kind of weird. But like, I can't imagine he might just be forgiven, Hey, you were trying to do the right thing. I mean, Naruto forgave Obito. So, like, maybe Onoki will just get if he gets forgiven, I would like him to, fight back against Ku at some point. But yeah, we're moving into the endgame, and next time, it does look like we're returning to the kinds of, like, sit down and think episodes, like we got with 81, and with 80, and... They've kind of come to define this arc, for better or for worse, and I really like that. I like Shonen has a habit of not really letting characters like think about how things are, about what's happening. It's very much an action-oriented genre, but like, of course it is. It goes without saying, but it is nice to, every now and then be like, these characters think things through, and these are their thoughts. So I'm excited for next week. I'm excited to see where the arc goes from here. I really enjoy these episodes, and I hope you did too, and the video. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, or subscribe, or do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!